Okay, we're going to try to show you what you need to know to be able to make caps by looming. One of the things is that the way that you know the size of yarn that you're looking for. Of course, this is a new deal of yarn, and there's a place where there are 3 places here, and right here is a number, and you're either looking for a 4 or a 5. 3 is too small, 6 is too big. With a 4, you're going to need to use 2 strands together. With a 5, 1 strand is going to be enough, okay? And to start, you take, if you're using 2 strands, and this is the size that makes caps very nice. There are 36 of these around, so that's one of the ways that you can tell the size of the loom that you're working with, is how many pegs they have in it. And there's a little peg on the side here that you start by making a knot in your thread, in your yarn, and hook that knot around that peg on the outside, and then tighten it down. And then the way that you're going to do the loom is you're going to go under and over, and under and over, and under and over, and under and over. One of the ways that I remember which direction you're going is that under and over is backwards of alphabetical. In other words, the O comes before the U in the alphabet, but you're going to go backwards. You're going to use the U first and then the O. So that's under and over and under and over. Or some people might say away from you and toward you, away from you and toward you, away and toward, and away and toward, or under and over, whichever. You're going to go around, all the way around one time. And as you see, that this goes pretty quick. It doesn't take very much time at all. Sometimes the thing that's consuming is I didn't have enough yarn already unrolled, and so I'm having to unroll it a little bit here. And then once you've gotten all the way around, usually I go ahead and push these back close to this base rim, and then you're going to put another round inside, or maybe it's above the one that's already there, and you'll see in just a second. Okay, I got to that part. I'm back to that peg. I'm back to the peg. And so now I'm going to start doing another under and over, under and over, under and over. And you're going to go all the way around again. Back to the peg. And as you see, it doesn't take a real long time, but I've got to get a little more yarn off here. Oops. You have to be a little careful. If you just got one of the strands instead of both of them, it's going to leave a loose strand in there. You can probably hide it, and it probably wouldn't hurt too terribly much, but it's not the way you really want to do them. Anyway, once you've gotten around, then you need to lock this off. In other words, if you start here on the right side of the peg, then these could all come loose. So you want to close that off. Now, I have found that if I do this one, which is the last one that I wrapped around, that it kind of makes a bulky thing there. So I will back up some and do one back here, and then you're going to start around and you're going to go all the way around. I've locked this now so that these won't come off, and you're going to start, and I just go around in the same direction that I was going before. You're going to go under the bottom loop and pull it over the top loop. Under the bottom loop, pull it over the top loop. Under the bottom, over the top. And you're going to do that all 36 pegs. Well, you've already done 4 pegs to lock it down, and so it'd be 32 more pegs, but it doesn't matter. You don't have to keep count. You just do every peg. And get close to the end, we'll show you how to finish that out. Now, my wife made a comment here that we were doing under and over. Again, we're doing under and over. You're doing the under one and you're pulling it over the over one. And now we're about to the finish, because we're back around to where we had locked off with these 4, okay? And so you're now back around to the peg again, and you've got your yarn, and you do that same thing again and again and again and again all the way around. And I normally do 20.
Wrap it again.
Oh, wrap it one more time?
Because
Okay.
this time you're only wrapping it once.
I need to get one of the other caps in a minute. Now, this one happens to be, I'm using 2 threads, and they are alike. They change colors at different times, and so you get a kind of a funny color here. But you could use 2 different colors and put them together and get the different colors all the way around. Now, I've gone all the way around again, so I've got to lock it off. And I did it the 4th one that's last time. I'm going to do it 3rd one this time. And that's up to the peg. And by being up to the peg, now it's all locked off. And I can start pulling the bottom one up over the top one, under and over again. And I would continue this until I had put 20 rows around. And once you've got them started, you can actually count them from up under here. That's 1, and that's a 2nd one, and that's a 3rd one. That's 1 here, a 2nd one there, and a 3rd one here. So that's 3. When you got 20 done, then that's the next step in doing a cap, okay? This is a hat that has what I call an earpiece. In other words, around the bottom here is double thickness. And I like the looks of hats like this, and so I always make the hats with this double thickness. Now, if you didn't want the thickness, you just continue until you've got 30 strands and tie it off at the top. And we'll show you about doing that later. If you want this extra thickness, then you are to this point where you have now 20 rows, and you could count the 20 rows. And to be able to make that double thickness, you're gonna take what's in here and fold it up over the other pegs. But you've still got it tied to this peg, so you need to take your little device here, I don't know what they call that, hook, and undo the tie to this peg. And then I like to take my needle, and if I can get it threaded like it needs to be, I like to take my needle and put this through one of the close holes, because that will then let this thread, and actually I don't need to have that much thread, I'm gonna cut it off like this. That'll make this loose thread be on the inside of that double layer. So now I've cut that off. I'm gonna pull the inside out. Yeah, you need this yarn to come through where the peg is, okay? And you're gonna pull these out, and that bottom loop that we were looking at a while ago to count, you find that bottom loop, and where it's close to one of these pegs, you put that bottom loop over the peg, and then you look for the next bottom loop and pull just the one bottom loop over, and find the next bottom loop and pull it over, and the next bottom loop, pull it over, so that you're finding each one of these bottom loops, and they gotta go all the way over. So very often I find it unrolling this a little bit helps you to find what the bottom loop is. And once you've done it once, you learn. It's pretty easy to find that bottom loop. And you want to make sure you don't miss one. And when you get around to the end, you'll know whether you missed one or not. But you don't want to miss one. You want to get all of these all the way around. To go there, there's one more thread, one more bottom, and then this is one last one, and it's a little bit small, but it is the last one. Whoops. Right there, and pull it over, and now you see I've got one loop on each one of the posts. So you're really back to the same situation. You have a bottom and a top, and you take the bottom one and put it over the top one, and the bottom one over the top one, and the bottom over the top. Now I didn't push these down ahead of time. That makes them sometimes a little harder to find, but you're doing just exactly what you did before, except now you're locking in the double amount, the double patch, the double thickness for the ears, and you go all the way around and finish this out. You can stop that. All right, we're doing the last few here. Now, when you've done this 36th one, you can pull it a little tight. Now, Notice that now you've got a bottom loop, and what you're going to do now is you're just going to continue with what we've done before. You're going to take this and under and over and under and over and under and over, and you're going to go all the way around. And when I do the earpiece like this, I do another 20 rows, and after I've done 20 rows, I close it off and I have a hat. Now, one of the things that we haven't talked about is that we've said that you could put two threads together, have two different threads together, but the hat that I showed you a while ago that had the earpiece on it was actually two different colors. Well, can you do that? Yes. What you do is you lock this one down and cut off, okay? Lock this one down and cut you off a piece that's long enough that you can work with, which would be, I'm gonna do that much. Now, I haven't locked this down, but I need to lock this down. That's locked it down now. Now, I'd have to go around and do over and under all the way around, but if I wanted to have a different color, and I'm going to do another color with this one, actually it's a couple of different colors. Finished up looping all the way around, so this is tied off, and is here at the peg, and I'm taking a different color because I want to add a little bit extra color. I did that with this one, and you see it's got green and yellow colors in it, and what I did to change from one color to another is that I just tied the two together, made a loop and pulled the ends through the loop, and then the loop being close to the loom, then pull them just as tight as possible, and you want to do each one of the four, both sides of each of the four, because you want it to be so tight that it would never let go again. And then you've got some extra thread here that I'm going to cut about that far ahead above the knot. And that'll leave a little bit of a knot there. And now you're going to under and over, under and over, and under and over. And you can probably see, this is a variegated thread that I'm using now, and you can see that it's kind of got some yellow in it, or one of the two is a little yellow here, and you can see that it is different. So it's going to be a different color when I finish the hat, and you're just going to loop it around and do the number of rounds that you want with this other color. I'm probably going to do about 4 rounds here, and then maybe 4 rounds a little bit later on with blue in between them, and just to give a little bit of variety and a little bit of color to your caps. If you're doing a bunch of these, you don't want to get the same thing all the time. That can get to be dull. So you like lots of colors and mixing colors and having some fun with it, and it's to be relaxing anyway. So you want to have some fun with it, and by changing up colors would be the way to have some fun with it. And I'm locking this down and have it locked down now, so it's safe. It's not going to come unwrapped. and you would go ahead and move the bottom over the top all the way around, and then you're going to start again looping each one of the terminals, each one of the posts, and then move the bottom over the top until you have 20 more strands, 20 more layers of fabric there, 20 more layers of yarn. And that's the time that normally I close off at 20 extra, and I have one ready to close off that I can show you. That what I have done already is that I have done the 20 more, oops, just a second, it's got to be, well, okay. Dealing with yarn, you can get tied up lots of different ways. Okay, I have done the 20 here. You can see there's the earpiece and 20 more. And so I have finished that off. And the way that I would close this off now is that I usually pull it across like this and go about that much extra . Now in this case, I've got this much extra yarn that I will try to find some cap that needs just 2 rounds of brown on it, and instead of throwing it away. But some people will just throw that away as extra yarn. I like to find something extra to put it with. If I had another one of the yellow ones, a little brown would look pretty with the yellow. Anyway, I've got a needle, that needle we used earlier, and I thread the needle with this yarn, and then I'm going to start here, the first one to the right of the peg, and I'm going to insert the needle, and by the way, the needle is plastic. You can't put too much pressure on it. You don't want to break the needle, but you use the needle to pull it off of each one of the pegs. Pull it off each peg. Now there is a slot on the edge of the peg that helps you to put the needle through the yarn. And you're going to do this around for all 36 of the loops. All right, I'm done that around to the last 2 pegs. Got to get those last 2 pegs. And now you've run the thread through, so you've got this circle here, and you can start pulling this together. And you're going to pull and pull and pull just as tight as you can. And you see the hole is almost completely closed off. Some of them won't close off as well, but this one is really closed off nicely. And then I usually find some place close by to tie on and lock off. And I make that knot just as tight as I can, and I don't want that one to show. And so one of the things that I have learned I can do is to go, there is a hole here, not a very big hole, but I run the needle back through to the other side, to the inside, and then I've turned this inside out, and then I'll usually tie off another one on this side, run it under one of the strands that seems solid, and tighten it down just as tight as I can again, because you don't want somebody's hat to come apart on them. And then trim off the extra thread, extra yarn, turn it back outside, and you have a hat.